Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to the 33rd installment of Last Week Lolita News. At the top of the segment, as this show disappeared along with my immune system's ability to do anything other than lie on the floor and cry, everything is out of date, and I'm pretty sure I heard vague sirens in the distance. This installment will be a rough catch-up clusterfrack of whatever penetrated my feverish bubble of bitterness and pain. I'm on enough caffeine to induce a stroke. Anything that follows from this point is utter garbage. You have been warned. Exit now if you have any standards above watching some overstimulated windbag pontificate to the tune of 50 words you didn't need in a sentence and one more for the win. Today's extraneous word is bumfuzzle, and right in tune with that implication, Metamorphose managed to release something fracking amazing. I'm kind of wondering if this means the apocalypse is nigh. It looks like Baby the Stars Shine Bright, dry-humped innocent world, but I'm not about to complain when the result looks this fracking inoffensive. Congrats, Meta, you didn't wet the fracking bed. Meanwhile, Baby the Stars Shine Bright has thoroughly kicked Angelic Pretty's ass in the battle of print categories. Nothing about AP's cross-ridden clusterfrock remotely makes sense. Tell me that there's seahorse unicorns all you want, it still doesn't explain why it has to be festooned with enough crosses to string up 55 lambs of God and still have room for at least one wolfwood ready to roll up and unleash unholy hell. BTSSB sprung for fracking mermaid bunnies, for fuck's sake. Meanwhile, all AP has is some crowns, crystals, and disembodied seahorse heads that are indistinguishable from normal fracking horse heads because you can't see the body, and that is kind of an important feature when trying to figure out what the fuck you're looking at in this seashell-ridden, cross-infested insult to aesthetic integrity. Did I mention that Baby went for seahorse bears too? You know how I can tell? Because you can see it with your eyes. Don't make me use my imagination, AP, or we'll end up in some dark places. Which brings us to Angelic Pretty's newest release. I regret everything I just said. Please forgive me, AP. I think my bank account just hemorrhaged all over my screen. This is everything I ever wanted. It's not even cut for Skittle Tits. And this print looks like the result of Wrapping Heart forgetting to wrap their part and going full toy fantasy on the business end of a bonbon bunny. Which translates to, give it to me now because dignity is a concept for the responsible and well-adjusted. As that about wraps up the week, since no one tried to take anyone's eye out with a parasol this time, and as I'm not about to touch this with a 20-foot pole, I burn too easily in the sun to stick my fracking nose in that otter atrocity, we turn towards Last Week Lolita News' next special segment, in which many will be personally affronted, at least a few will experience intense catharsis, and everyone can leave here with just a little less trust in their fellow human beings. Welcome to How to Sell EGL. Rule number 1, the number of you mother frackers who just shove shit into a box and call it a day is too damn high. I don't know how many packages I've received with the object just poking out of a gaping hole in the cardboard. Yes, it was raining. No, I won't chill. Not until someone explains to me the exact thought process behind thinking that raw dogging a box with my dress is going to end well in the hands of a postal system primarily known for handling parcels with all the tender affection of an apeshit 30-something with at least a decade of daddy issues to work out at your personal expense. They call it going postal for a reason. Fragile means throw it harder. For God's sake, wrap your shit, then put it in a box, and we can end this transaction without me debating whether the plane ticket is worth it to aggressively flip you off in person. Reason number 2, undisclosed stains are like HPV. You may think that everyone has them. You may even think that it's no big deal when they're passed to an unsuspecting buyer. But unless your buyer has consented to give you money for a dress that looks like it was dragged through an ink factory shortly before being doused in enough pasta sauce to open their own Olive Garden, maybe, just maybe, you might want to glance at the fracking garment before you shove it in a small space to marinate in its previous owner's testament to human mediocrity. This is closely related to Rule 3, if I know you have a cat without you telling me, we have a fracking problem. By which I don't mean fur. We're talking levels of ammonia that could kill a man at 50 yards, the intensity of which I can only hope acts as an envoy of natural selection for the source, because you can't tell me that anyone who ships off a frilly chemical weapon isn't 5 minutes from asphyxiation. Fucking Chernobyl has better air quality. Going nose blind isn't an excuse. Washing your clothes before giving them to a buyer is the bare minimum you can do not to advertise that your cat has abandoned their previous toilet for a larger lavatory. Either get your shit together or admit that your life is a litter box. Speaking of pissing people off, sellers shouldn't be surprised when charging a car payment's worth for a dress that's seen things worthy of PTSD doesn't result in a sale. I know this sounds repetitive given the previous rules, but like new does not translate to dipped in barbecue sauce because your carnivorous ass had to go to a steakhouse. Very good does not mean faded enough to resemble whatever nearly translucent vestige of common sense you possess. And I don't know what the entire Western market is smoking when minor damage means a coffee stain the size of my fist on the front of the skirt, missing waist ties, and shirring that looks like it was used to bungee jump into the Grand Fracking Canyon. An ink stain here or there is minor. beer. A dress suffering from food and beverage buckshot is not. That said, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching Last Week Lolita News, and be sure to tune in next week when we tackle the tough topics like, why has God forsaken us? Does this come with a Happy Meal? And why even live if I can't empty my bank account in order to make up for a decisive lack of self-love? Oh wait, it's back, never mind. Next time on Last Week Lolita News. This has been Tyler, you've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and before you cleanse your soul of this show with whatever substances allow you a short reprieve from the bitterness of human existence, you should know that this show is sponsored in part by Lolita Des, a secondhand Lolita and J fashion shop based in Japan with excellent English-speaking staff and an official sponsor for Last Week Lolita News. Lolita Des, when the AP web shop is down, the gaping chasm of eternity beckons, and nothing temporarily fills the hole in your soul quite like binge shopping their inventory, they have brand, and that's a heck of a lot easier than finding inner peace. Link to their shop below, and to wrap this up with a big fracking bow, I'd like to thank my patrons for deciding that the best thing to do with their valuable time is to see that no sentence goes without an unnecessary amount of words. You guys keep me sharp even when things are blurry. And should you like to watch the day-to-day foibles of a woman who would verbally bite someone as soon as look at them, feel that the world would be better with a bit more salt, or generally lack forms of entertainment that don't include karma occasionally kicking my ass for being a vat of battery acid wrapped in a bad personality, then head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews for more content that is almost certain to put you off the entire species for the sake of a few laughs. I promise you'll deeply regret your decision. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you next time on Last Week Lolita News.